All right, for those who've just joined us, we're walking through the agenda. This is solicitation number MDP 23-001, pre-proposal conference. And I'm going to walk through the agenda first before our procurement officer, Michelle Butler, takes over. First, we'll start with welcome and introductions, introduction of state attendees. And we'll note that the agenda and this presentation will be uploaded to EMA, Electronic Maryland Marketplace, as well as by February 3rd, answers to questions that we can't answer right away. After Michelle completes the introductions, my name is Jason Dubum, Unit Manager of our Resource Conservation Unit. I'll review the RFP, including the key information summary sheet, minimum qualifications, contractor requirements, procurement instructions and proposal format, evaluation and selection process, data quality assurance requirements, as well as any mandatory submittals. And then we'll have a question and answer period. Noting in this last paragraph here that questions pertaining to the current topic of discussion may be raised at this time. It's not necessary to wait until the deadline, which for questions to be submitted, which Michelle will talk about today. The minutes of the pre-proposal conference will not be transcribed, although the state will provide a written summary afterwards. Any substantive questions should be submitted to the procurement officer, Michelle Butler, in writing, preferably by email. Questions submitted in writing will receive a written response that will be issued to all vendors. Answers provided to questions raised at today's pre-proposal conference may be subject to clarification. No answers or other statements given today can alter or amend the RFP. Only a formal amendment can change the substance of the RFP. In the event that substantive issues arise necessitating an amendment to the RFP, all offerors known to have received a copy of the solicitation will receive the amendment. So I'm going to stop sharing at this time and hand over the meeting to Michelle. Thank you, Michelle.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Butler, and I am the procurement officer with the Maryland Department of Planning. I am here with Jason DeBoe, Resource Conservation and Management Unit Manager, to help you understand the process of the procurement. In case there is a need for clarification after this meeting, I am the main point of contact and can be reached at the following email address, michelle.butler3@maryland.gov, which we will place in the chat. The meeting is to review the request for proposal for provision of environmental and engineering services to perform assessment of brownfield sites. The department intends to make approximately 7 awards as a result of this RFP. No MBE/BSBE goals were established for a resulting contract. It is very important that everyone sign in via the chat room instructions. See the PowerPoint slide that Jason just presented. So if there is a need to contact you as a result of this meeting, we will be able to do so more easily. The contract resulting from the solicitation will be for a 3-year duration for 2 one-year option periods. All sequential documentation regarding the solicitation will be posted on eMaryland Marketplace Advantage, EMA. Please remember that in order to receive a contract award, a vendor must be registered on EMA. Registration is free. Review subsection 4.2 for details. We will be recording today's meeting and will post a YouTube link to the recording by February the 3rd. Please use the chat function within Google Meet to provide us with your name and email address for you and any colleagues who are in the meeting with you today. By entering this information, this will serve as the meeting sign-in sheet. We will post a recording of the pre-proposal conference on EMA solicitation page, with the answers to questions received from potential bidders by February the 3rd. I would like to stress to everyone today that we get to the Q&A portion of this meeting. We ask that everyone who asks a question also submit that same question to me in writing for clarity purposes. See subsection 4.3, questions on page 43. Questions are due by January the 20th by 11:59 p.m. The procurement officer, myself, based on the availability of time to research and communicate an answer, shall decide whether an answer can be given. Therefore, please try to get any questions to us ASAP. Subsection 4.23 on page 48 discusses payment by electronic funds transfer. Carefully review this clause by submitting a response to this solicitation. The offerer agrees to accept payments by electronic funds transfer, EFT, unless the state comptroller's office grants an exception. This section goes into detail on how to register or request an exception. I'd like to introduce key state government staff for the project. Again, I am Michelle Butler, MDP's procurement officer. We have Pam Lacey, is the MDP's administrative officer. Jason DeBoe is MDP's contact monitor for this project. He manages MDP's resource conservation and management unit. Sylvia Moser is MDP's project manager for this project and is a resource conservation planner. She's not in attendance today in this meeting. Chuck Boyd is MDP's Director of Planning Services. Brian Dietz is with the Maryland Department of Environment, Chief State Assessment and Remediation Division. Lastly, I want to note that the procurement method used for this solicitation is competitive sale proposal in accordance with COMAR section 21.05.03. There are several steps involved in this method, so your attention to the solicitation document is crucial in the successful submission of your proposal. Note, I'll turn over the meeting back to Jason DeBoe. Jason.
All right. Thanks so much, Michelle. Appreciate it. All right. And for the remainder of today's meeting, I will review particular sections of the RFP, specifically the key information summary sheet, minimum qualifications, contractor requirements, scope of work in general, procurement instructions and proposal format, data quality assurance requirements, mandatory submittals, such as RFP attachments and appendices, and the evaluation and selection process.
Jason, this is Chuck Boyd. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, please.
I just want to get because we are trying to capture everyone. I believe everyone is putting in their name in the chat, but we do have 4 people that they may be signed in, but they're using a phone. So we have one person that has a end of their it's a 1410 with the last 2 digits of 52. Could that person unmute themselves or somehow indicate if they have signed in or their name so that we can get them documented?
Yeah, and you can unmute using *6 when you're on Google Meet.
Hi, this is Tina Big.
Could you repeat?
Hi, this is Tina Bickerstaff.
Okay. Yes, I think we have you down on the attendee list. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next one on that list is 443 ending in 44.
Yeah, again, you do. Thank you. I think that person dropped off, Chuck.
Yeah, another one is 1443 ending in 58.
Hi. Hi, that's Nick Guns with Argatus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, can you spell your last name, please?
G-U-N-S, just like a firearm.
Thank you. And first name is Nick?
Yes.
Thank you. I think we had you. Thank you for confirming.
Thank you. And the last one is 1978 and ending in 49.
And you can press *6 to unmute.
Okay, well, that person, if they could just enter their name or somehow email Michelle that they've actually, so we can record them. So again, that was 1978 ending in 49. Thank you, Jason. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, thank you.
I have a brief question as well. There are
Thank you.
two, looks like, organizations logged into the call. One is SWEJ Calendar, and the other one is HAC. If both of those attendees can make sure to put their information in the chat box so that I can correctly identify them and not just the organization name, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Cassandra.
This is Greg McIsaac with Hillis Carnes. I hung up on myself trying to
Oh, okay.
*6.
Okay. And how do you spell your last name, Greg?
McIsaac, M-C, capital I-S-A-A-C.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. I'm glad you got back on.
How do I remute myself?
Press *6 again. Okay, well, thanks so much. Appreciate everybody. This will really help us moving forward, and thanks Harvey and also John for adding your information to the chat, as Cassandra asked. So thanks everybody, and thanks Chuck for catching that as well. Okay, well, first I'm going to review the key information summary sheet, which is on page 3 of the RFP. Proposals are to be sent to the eMaryland Marketplace, emma@emma.maryland.gov. Questions on the RFP are due January 20th by 11:59 p.m. State replies to your questions will be posted to Emma on February 3rd. Proposals are due 2 weeks later on February 17th by 11:59 p.m. The contract type will be fixed price with cost adjustment for phase 1 environmental site assessments and time and materials for phase 2 environmental site assessments as accepted by the Maryland Department of Planning through a work order process. The contract duration is a 3-year base period with 2 1-year option periods. And the primary place of performance is Baltimore County, focused on the east side of the county. For minimum qualifications, the RFP has sections beginning on page 8 concerning key staff, related previous work experience, and reliable past performance. And Chuck, I think this might be an okay time to add that clarity that we talked about just before the meeting.
Yeah.
So people, please note that in sections 1.1 and 3.9, we're seeking previous work experience for projects comparable in size and or type to the sites within a geographic range of the East Baltimore County Brownfields project area. The RFP does not indicate that the work experience has to be for projects specifically within that geographic range. They just have to be, again, comparable in size and or type to the sites within that range. So we had one question about that. We'll post that as an answer as well to Emma. Next, contract requirements. The scope of work is listed in section 10, beginning on page 10, section 2, beginning on page 10. This subsection gives an outline of the responsibilities of the contractor and, of course, is the meat of the solicitation that will give you a clear understanding of what MDP expects of the successful offerers in the provision of the services. This section includes a summary statement, describes the background, purpose, and goals of the project, lists the responsibilities and tasks for the contractor, and discusses the required deliverables. The general contractor requirements are listed in section 3, beginning on page 19. We would like to highlight for you the following sections that will be key if you are awarded the contract. The contract initiation requirements, a problem escalation procedure, more details on required experience and personnel, and work orders. And of course, there are many other sections related to general requirements that are listed in the RFP. Procurement instructions are listed in section 4, beginning on page 45. We would like to highlight for you the following sections that have not already been covered today. Additional information on questions to be submitted concerning the RFP, the award basis, revisions to the RFP, offer responsibilities, acceptance of terms and conditions, and as we noted, there are no MBE or VSBE goals in the RFP. Next, I will discuss the proposal format, section 5, which begins on page 56 of the RFP. Offerors are required to submit their responses to the RFP in 2 parts. Section 5, proposal format, lists all the submission requirements as clearly as possible. The offerors must submit proposals, as we've talked about, through the state's internet-based electronic procurement system, the Maryland Marketplace Advantage, or EMA. Your proposals shall be submitted in separate volumes. Volume 1 is the technical proposal, and Volume 2 is the financial proposal. Subsection 5.2, named Proposals Delivery and Packaging, also begins on page 56. Within that section is 5.2.1, lists all the documents and information that are required with your technical proposal, specifically 1 original executed technical proposal and all supporting material marked and sealed, 5 duplicate copies of the above, separately marked and sealed, an electronic version of the technical proposal in Microsoft Word format, version 2007 or greater, the technical proposal in a searchable Adobe PDF format, and a second searchable Adobe PDF copy of the technical proposal with confidential and proprietary information redacted. To simplify the submission, subsection 5.3, which begins on page 57, describes where documents and information should be included under different tabs in the technical proposal. Section 5.4, the Volume 2 financial proposal, starts on page 64 of the RFP and shall be submitted under separate sealed cover from the technical proposal and clearly identified in the format identified in Section 5. For the purposes of this procurement, the financial proposal form attachment B is included in Excel format. Next, I'll talk about the data quality assurance requirements, which are discussed on page 106 of the RFP. Specifically, in the RFP, we have an affidavit that asks bidders to declare and affirm that they have read, understood, and agree to abide by all requirements in EPA's Best Practice Guide for Procuring Services, Supplies, and Equipment under EPA Assistance Agreements, December 2021. The Maryland Department of Planning's Quality Management Plan, which is an Appendix 5, and the EPA Cooperative Agreement with Maryland Department of Planning, which is also included in Appendix 5. The EPA Cooperative Agreement indicates that contractors will need to develop a QAPRP, Quality Assurance Program Plan, that will delineate the contractor's overall program for completing multiple environmental site assessments for the community-wide assessment project, including the contractor's program purpose and sampling and analytical protocols. For individual sites, the contractor will need to complete a field sampling plan, or FSP. EPA will need to approve the QAPRP and individual FSPs before work can begin. MDP's quality management plan includes a standard operating procedure that will help MDP ensure that the deliverables provided by contractors are of the highest quality. Mandatory submittals are described in Section 7, beginning on page 68 or 70. Sorry about that, 68 or 70. In addition to the data quality assurance affidavit, attachment P that is described above, the following are mandatory submittals described in Section 7. Oops, sorry about that. First is the attachment B, the financial proposal form. This is the spreadsheet that will list the offeror's lump sum for services to conduct Phase 1 ESAs, that is, a price per Phase 1 ESA. The spreadsheet also lists the offeror's hourly labor rates for different job titles. The fee for a Phase 2 ESA at a particular site will be based upon results of the Phase 1 ESA, the scope of work process as discussed in the RFP, and the offeror's hourly labor rates for different job titles. Other mandatory submittals are these attachments, including the bid proposal affidavit, the Maryland living wage requirements for service contracts and affidavit of agreement, federal funds attachment, conflict of interest affidavit and disclosure, and the offeror information sheet. Next, the evaluation committee evaluation criteria and selection procedure are outlined in Section 6, starting on page 65. Your proposals will be evaluated by a committee organized for that purpose and will be based on the criteria set forth in the RFP. The technical criteria listed in descending order of importance can be found in subsection 6.2, with the financial criteria listed in subsection 6.3. The selection procedure is highlighted in subsection 6.5, and as noted, contracts will be awarded to the responsible offeror that submitted the proposal determined to be the most advantageous to the state, considering technical evaluation factors and price factors as set forth in the RFP. Note that in making this most advantageous proposal determination, technical factors will be weighted higher than financial factors. Lastly, the documents required upon notice of recommendation for contract award are listed in Section 6.5. Other than composing your technical and financial proposals, the most important matter is to get your proposals to us by the date, time, and location listed. As Michelle, our procurement officer, Michelle Butler, mentioned, your proposals are due no later than Friday, February 17th, 2023, by 11:59 p.m. via EMA. No proposals will be accepted after 11:59 p.m. that day. Please remember that after this pre-proposal conference, prospective offers may have questions answered that may help them understand the RFP and other items. Just keep in mind that the answers to your questions, if they are significant in nature, shall be posted on the EMA website. Therefore, please allow sufficient time for this to occur. Questions on the RFP are due January 20th, 2023, 11:59 p.m. and state replies to questions will be posted to EMA on February 3rd. If you have any questions or comments about the procurement process after this conference, please contact Michelle Butler at Michelle with one L, .Butler, 3 at maryland.gov. And good luck. And now, of course, we have time for some questions and thank you. So does anybody have any questions that you may have today? And we would also, if you do have those questions, as Michelle said, if you could please provide those to her also in writing.
Jason, I do have a question with regards to the copies, because it clearly states to submit it on EMA, but you also want hard copies too.
Okay, right.
Hi, this is John with ECC. I had a question about insurance.
Okay.
In the RFP, it states you all are looking for significant insurance for cyber and crime, and just wanted to understand if that's something that you guys are going to adhere to 100%, or if there's flexibility there. Some folks don't carry as much insurance for cyber and crime as you're asking, and to increase limits could present a significant barrier to certain firms' participation.
Okay. And yeah, if we find a question that we can respond to right away, we will do so today. Otherwise, we are recording your questions, and we will absolutely reply by the February 3rd deadline. And we also have a question in the chat from Amy McGivney. How many Maryland Brownfields grant has the MDP administered contracts for? This is our first. We're working closely with Maryland Department of the Environment and Baltimore County on this as well. And of course with EPA Region 3. Plus we have EPA Region 3's assistance from their technical assistance for Brownfield program at the West Virginia University. So that's an answer to your question, Amy. So basically we're yeah, please.
Good morning. This is Tina Bickerstaff again with EEC. I had a question regarding the CLAP and was wondering, is it just the CLAP that you're looking for, or are you guys also looking for validation, data validation for any phase 2 data that are collected?
Okay, well, we'll get back to you about that. So you're saying in addition to the 3 QAPs that we were asking for, are we also looking for data validation documents?
Data validation of the collected data, correct?
Okay, got it. Okay, we'll get back to you. Thank you.
I have one more question for you, Jason. This is Patty.
Thank you.
And section 7 in RFP attachments, it says table 1. You have some that state with proposal, but say, no, it does not apply. So
Right.
I just want to distinguish if it needs to be provided or not based upon the no and with proposal statement.
Right. If there's an N, if that means no, and so you do not need to submit that if it says N and under section 7. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Sure. I think we have a question in the chat. Okay, why is there no MBE DBE set aside? I don't know, Michelle, do you want to handle that? I know there was a formal process where we needed to do some research on that and to get Department of General Services analysis of the issue. What do you think, Michelle?
I'm going to have to get back with them. I can answer that question. If you have it recorded and written down, I can send them back a response.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and then we have a question from Jim Hulbert, the QMP. Yes, this is the Maryland Department of Planning. QMP mentions Maryland Environmental Service. How are they involved in the project? We did have some preliminary contracting work with Maryland Environmental Service, Jim, when they helped us to initiate the drafting of this RFP. We still have them under contract to help us with some additional assistance if we need it. So there is some possible assistance in addition they may be able to provide us moving forward, but they are not a major component of this project. Okay, other questions?
Jason and Jeff Grenana, KCI, I have a question.
Yes.
It looks like a scope of up to 17 phase 1s and up to 8 phase 2s, and you're planning on selecting 7 firms. Is that 17 phase 1s per firm, or to be distributed among 7?
Right. Yeah, and Chuck, let me know what your thoughts are on this one. The best way to answer it, if you want me to take a stab.
One, I think we can give you a more complete answer. as was noted earlier, this is the first time that we have done this. We've done some preliminary estimates. A lot of it will be depending upon the outreach and responsiveness of property owners. The total number was, and I believe is an estimate of what we thought would be occurring, but not necessarily distributed 7 times 17. But again, I think Jason, you can confirm that again. That was an estimate based upon our current assessment of the area.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. Yeah, and most importantly, so no, I think that pretty much covers it. And maybe by answering, and Denise, I'll get to your question in a second. But John Deal, you asked about what is the total expected value of all awards, and there's I think the best way to answer that is that the work is dependent upon property owners to agree to doing environmental site assessments. So, of course, as you get property owners to agree to do property assessments, then we'll have work to do. The grants funding provides for about $179,000 overall for the contracting work. And again, it's going to be a matter of property owner interest. There are
Jason,
yes,
just
yes,
to add to that, just to clarify, one, we may be requesting additional EPA funding for additional work, depending upon this, so that the duration of the amount is not fully known at this particular point. That is, we may get additional funding, so we have an initial grant allocation from EPA, but we hope to be going back, and these potential respondents or contracted services would be included or extend beyond that. So it is not necessarily that limited or defined. We have a starting point, but we may have additional funds beyond that. Again, we will respond accordingly to the details to this question written.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. And then Denise, the RFP, the page numbers are not on in the RFP, so I'm giving you page numbers of the pages themselves of the document. The table of contents go to different pages based on assuming that the first 10 pages or so are not covered as page numbers. So
that's great. I just wanted to make sure I had the correct copy of the RFP.
okay, yes,
Thank
you do.
Jason.
Yeah. Joe Marisi, you asked about work distributed amongst 7 awardees, and to be clear, the RFP says let me make sure I have this right. So tend to make approximately 7 awards, but I don't know. Chuck, is there anything we could say about this particular issue at this time?
Well, I mean, again, I think it'll be depending upon the responses we get, and it may be 7, it may be less, it may be more. Once we have those folks under contract, we will develop a system to try to accommodate that, but it will be based upon the expertise, the responsiveness, and price. So there's a number of different ways of distributing those awardees along the way, but we don't have a set process in place right now with regard to the distribution among the awardees.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Okay. I can, if you think of any other questions along the way, again, please send your questions in writing to Michelle Butler. Her email is in the chat, and also in the emails that we sent earlier today. And we will provide answers to you on Emma by February 3rd. We really appreciate your interest in the RFP, and we look forward to seeing your proposals. Any last questions before we adjourn the meeting? And Michelle, Pam, or Chuck, or Brian, anything last we should say before we adjourn?
I don't have anything, Jason.
I have no comment either, Jason.
All right, thank you.
Nothing here.
Okay. Okay, well, thanks everybody again, and we look forward to hearing from you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.